January 12th. Please stand for our invocation led by Reverend Radford Parker and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance.
Good morning, family.
Good morning.
Mr. Mayor, amen. To all of God's wonderful people, amen. Let's pray. Father, in the name of your Son, Jesus, the Christ, the Anointed One, we humble ourselves, therefore, under your mighty hand. Truly, this is the day that you have made, and we will rejoice and be glad in it. Father, we thank you. Hallelujah. For those that you have appointed to lead us, your people. And Father, in the name of your Son, Jesus, we just say thank you for change in Mobile. We thank you for the new direction that we're going in for your glory. In the name of your Son, Jesus, we pray. Amen.
Roll call. President Gregory.
Here.
Vice President Richardson.
Here.
Councilmember Manzi.
Here.
Councilmember Small.
Here.
Councilmember Williams.
Here.
Councilmember Daves.
Here.
Councilmember Rich.
Here.
Statement of rules.
Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
It's good to see you here this morning. I don't know if you're like me, a little bleary-eyed this morning after staying up past your bedtime to watch a certain football game. We have in the audience this morning our former president of the council, and he is wearing one of his favorite shirts to show off the win a little bit last night. Welcome, Mr. Copeland. The rules of the council are very simple. We just ask everyone to please turn off your electronic devices. If you come to the podium to speak, you'll have 5 minutes. At the end of 4 minutes, you'll hear the buzzer, which is your signal to go ahead and wrap it up and take your seat. Give us your name and address for the record. If you have any questions or concerns, please address those to me. I'm the chair, and then I will ask the appropriate council person or member of the administration to try to resolve it at that point. Again, it's good to see you all here. We talked about the game last night at our pre-conference meeting and some of the things that we are doing to try to recognize, especially our local members of the Alabama team, to have them come to a council meeting to recognize them. Randy Patrick, who works for Channel 5, was at the game, and I saw a little clip of his interview, and he was saying something to a couple of our Mobile guys that we need to give them the key to the city, and so the mayor has offered his. So we will be looking at bringing them in to recognize those players and coaches. So great game, great for the state of Alabama, and so good to see them on Good Morning America this morning too. That was awfully nice. So with that, then we will move forward. Lisa.
Approval of minutes of December 22nd.
So moved.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Communications from the mayor.
I don't think the TV cameras can necessarily see it, but if you look closely, you'll see you'll see the Alabama on that tie. Just FYI, thought it was appropriate to wear it today. Roll Tide. And it's my honor this morning, as it always is an honor, to recognize our Officer of the Month. So I would ask Chief Barber and Officer Joshua Coleman to please come to the podium. And having an opportunity always to visit with Officer of the Month. Before we come here, I have an opportunity to find out a little bit about their personal life and what they like about being a policeman and so forth. And Officer Coleman has wanted to be a policeman since he was a child. And he doesn't know what triggered it, but all his life he's wanted to be a policeman. And we were very fortunate in the city of Mobile that there was a hiring freeze in Georgia, and they were hiring no more law enforcement officers. And he happened to see an advertisement in Mobile, Alabama. He had never been here before, but now he's here, has 3 children, happily married, and adds a great deal to our police department. And I just told him that, I'm grateful for what he does. I said, if you were the mayor for a day and you wanted to do something to help the police, what would you do? And he said, I would go out and talk to them and just find out what's on their mind and get to know them better. And I told him that's something that the chief and I, work out on a regular basis. But I share that with you because that's something that all of us as citizens can do, is stop that policeman and tell him thank you, and establish that relationship. Because there's probably never been a time in the history, certainly in my lifetime, where it's maybe been more difficult to be a policeman. And we have got to have people like Officer Coleman out there defending us. So having said that, I'll read the proclamation that goes along with the certificate of the recognition as being the Officer of the Month. Officer Joshua Coleman has rendered a service to the city of Mobile which deserves special recognition. On December 21st, Officer Coleman was dispatched to a location on Airport Boulevard regarding a suspicious complaint. Upon arrival, he located a male subject who was watching the establishment. After further investigation, it was determined that the subject was responsible for 4 prior armed robberies. He was arrested and charged with 5 counts of first-degree robbery. On December 27th, Officer Coleman responded to a burglary in process. Officers were given a description of the suspect. Officer Coleman canvassed the area and located several stolen items. The suspect was arrested and charged with third-degree burglary, possession of brass knuckles, and public intoxication. I asked him, did he get an adrenaline rush when he was approaching this guy, and he assured me that he did. On December 30th, he was dispatched to the location of a possible felon. Upon arrival, he located the subject and began an investigation. While confirming the warrants, the subject fled on foot, but Officer Coleman quickly apprehended him. The subject was arrested and charged with possession of a controlled substance, possession of drug paraphernalia, and an attempt to elude police. He also had active warrants in the state of Texas for escape third degree, 2 counts of theft by deception, and writing fraudulent checks. In total, Officer Coleman serviced 86 calls and provided backing on 26 other complaints. He made 17 felony arrests, 30 misdemeanor arrests, and issued 73 traffic citations. His initiative, his enthusiasm, and excellence in his overall performance show a proactive police style that is a tremendous asset to the city of Mobile. Now, therefore, on behalf of all the citizens, we are pleased to award him this certificate to him as Officer of the Month for December 2015 with our sincerest thanks. Congratulations. Chief, would you like to make some remarks about some other events that occurred during the Christmas holidays, on Christmas Day specifically?
Yes, sir. As you know, we've been in constant contact with the Windsong Theater management. We first initially met with the district manager for Alabama, and then last week, Mayor Sandy Stimson, myself, and Public Safety Director Richard Landahl met with the Senior Vice President, Chief Operations Officer for the cinema, who came in from Georgia to meet with us about our concerns about the security protocols that were in place on Christmas Day, which led to hundreds of juveniles in a parking lot, subsequently ended with 4 people being shot on that property. I can tell you that they share our concerns, and they also share our goal of ensuring that that facility is safe for everyone that comes to watch a movie at that theater. We did go over several of our concerns about the security, the physical security, as well as some of their policy and procedure, and also what their technical surveillance capabilities were in the participation in Project SHIELD in partnership with the police department. All of those were well received. I was very optimistic at this point that we'll see some very positive steps from the cinema, but they did ask that they allow us, or we allow them, a couple of weeks to review all of these protocols and what they can do to reestablish it. We expect a second meeting or a subsequent meeting after that to go over the security measures that are being taken to ensure the safety of the public. Obviously, in this particular situation, our main concern is to prevent the situation from occurring, because once it does, there's very little that law enforcement can do in order to prevent an incident from happening when you have hundreds of kids unsupervised in one location. But we are standing by, we're waiting. We've offered every bit of assistance that we can provide, including our cyber intelligence unit. And so we intend to report back to you on what those measures are. They will be physically inspected by the police department when that time comes to ensure that all of the protocols being said to be established are actually taking place.
Thank you. Any questions of the chief while he is here at the podium?
I don't have a question, but I appreciate this diligence with this issue and look forward to the Public Safety Committee having an opportunity to also sit down with the owners to then learn even more so that we can get the word out to the community, because the incident has a huge rippling effect that needs to be negated. So thank you so much for your attention to this. It means a lot.
Absolutely, and we will be contacting you about the date of these inspections and the subsequent meeting.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief.
Yes.
Appreciate it.
Madam President,
Mr. Small?
I have one question. Chief, could you talk to us about the rational of violence that have been going on in our city within the past couple of weeks? I mean, been going on in many of our districts, 6, 3, 2, 1, and yesterday even 4 with the stabbings. Could you, because the public wants to know, I mean, could you talk to us about it?
You know, just as in almost, you could use the cinema incident as a beginning timeline if you want to, and you can go into the first week of this year. But what we have seen, besides the routine violence that we sometimes occurs within our communities, is the proliferation of weapons by juveniles that are displaying these weapons, carrying these weapons. I'm talking about firearms, handguns, into situations like at the movie theater. But we're also seeing not only are they using these guns to resolve conflict, but they're playing with the guns. And just the first week of this year, we've had 2 teenagers that were shot and killed accidentally by friends playing with guns. The unfortunate side to that is you don't get that bullet back. That child is dead. The other child has been charged with manslaughter because of the negligent handling of the firearm. And so that is one of the trends we're seeing. We're seeing it on social media. As I addressed you in pre-council, we're really appealing to the public to pay attention to your children, pay attention to what's in their rooms, pay attention to what's in their book bag, who they're hanging out with, and take a look at that Facebook page. Take a look at what they're putting out there on social media, in their phones, because I guarantee you it would astonish you to see how brazen these kids are with these handguns. So,
Thank you.
What about
Any-
like the stabbing like in District 4? Because my phone was ringing off the hook. It actually been ringing off the hook for the last couple of days of what the rationale of even domestic violence to, people going stabbing and et cetera. Could you speak to us about that?
well, in 2 of them in your district, we had the domestic-related homicide that was in R.V. Taylor, where a female was shot and killed by her estranged boyfriend. The one on Cloverleaf is still under investigation as far as motive and what actually led up to that incident. We do know it's a confrontation that occurred, an altercation, but led to, and that was on Cloverleaf, where we had another homicide there.
But even with the incident on yesterday, is something that the council, the public, the mayor, I mean, is anything that we can do? I mean, because the community is pretty much crying and asking, what can be done. I have many constituents that pretty much they're scared. And pretty much, also would like to hear from the mayor, but I'm sure that myself and the rest of the council will support any initiative the mayor will have, because we have to get our city up to par. I mean, our mayor motto is to have the safest, friendly city by 2020. We're only like 4 years away, so, I understand that we have lows of last year of crimes, but, I mean, this is a spark that's in our community, and it's just the, couple days in January.
We did finish last year with the lowest murder rate in 15 years. And so, but even with that, you have to be very careful of it, because all you're doing is taking a snapshot of time in time. And so you've got a picture, not a video. The same thing happens when you look at the first part of January this year, is that you can't draw any conclusions of trends that we're seeing. None of these incidents are related to one another. We are looking at the relationship of the juvenile violence that we've seen in the shootings, because all of those do seem to be connected to the same group of juveniles. And so that's a concern of ours. But overall, we will have to track our crime trends historically. I think certainly by the end of this month, we should be able to give y'all a recap of what the overall crime rate looked like in the city of Mobile. We do know assaults, the aggravated assault category is up. Just so y'all understand what that category is, it's not that anybody was injured. We used to only report felony injuries, but what we are reporting now are any time a weapon is displayed, be it a knife or a gun, whether anybody was injured or not, and we are seeing that. I will tell you that the national trend in much of our major cities has been a rise in violent crime, and y'all have probably heard homicide rates have actually been going up in the major cities. And so, again, we have to be very cautious that we rely too much on our statistics as far as us having lowest homicide rate in 15 years. We'll have to be very diligent going forward in order to continue that trend over time.
All right, thank you.
Hang on. Any other questions?
Yes.
Mrs. Rich?
Thank you. I know an alarming, at least wake-up call was the age of the children that was, and that's a particular incident, so I get it, and I understand the tipping point and how things, played out like the perfect storm. But if there's anything that your department or my office or the mayor's office about educating parents on what laws, responsibility, what social services are in town for their support, or just coming forward to let people know they have a child out of control, because we're sitting here watching this happen, and there are resources, and there's also punishment when you are negligent. But people need to understand that, because there should be zero tolerance with that. And along with the programs that exist, because there are many people dedicated to working with our children through schools, social service agencies, like I said. We have to embrace this as a children problem and try to do whatever we can to prevent them from hurting themselves, hurting others, and putting this whole community at risk.
I agree. And again, the atmosphere should be one of prevention at any place or any business that draws large amounts of juveniles to it, be that skating rinks, theaters, or bowling alleys, even retail establishments. I don't think we can legislate from here how those protocols or what those policies should be, but certainly there's been recommendations by the police department that could help, because that private business can regulate the age of customers and whether or not they're supervised or not. And we've made those recommendations. The reality of the world we live in, we came out it was very irresponsible, I think, for anyone to drop a child as young as 8 years old off in this crowded parking lot with teenagers with no way of going to the movie, no way of leaving the area. And so we do recognize that. The reality of the world we're in, though, is we're not going to make good parents out of some folks. And we're going to have to figure out how we can, as a police department, as a legislative body, as private businesses with good stewards in our community, of how do we design an environment that prevents this type of incident from happening. Okay?
All right, anyone else?
Yes, Madam
Mr.
President.
Manzi?
Since we're on this train of our conversation, several of the recent incidents of criminal activity and violent activity have occurred in District 2, and residents through Facebook, emails, and other means have come to me saying, well, what will be our response? And my response to them, I guess my question to you is, what can we do from our positions as legislators to assist in the efforts that you all have in place, and seeing that we are noticing an appreciable increase in activity with young people and guns, is there an initiative that your department will be bringing forward to combat that, now that we know that we have this problem? Because I think there's a disconnect between the public, with us being here, that wonder, well, Manzi, Small, Richardson, what are you all going to do in response to these incidents, when that really isn't the role that we play, but we do advocate, and that's one of the reasons why I want to ask the questions that I'm asking. Is there an initiative being planned? Because it is a great concern to a great deal of persons in the community that I represent.
Yes, there is. And actually, I believe that those are very fair questions from the public, because the fundamental purpose, if not the sole legitimate purpose of government, is the safety of the public. And they're very fair questions of what are you doing in order to ensure the safety of our community. You've seen several of the programs that we began about a little over a year ago, that You Still Have a Choice program that went into our schools. We're actually reaching in with the great program. We just started Project AIM, which is a mentoring program. And we are geared all the way down to the 4th grade, mainly because the 4th graders, even though they're very young, by the time they're in 6th grade, they're rolling their eyes at you. And so we began the process at the elementary school level, and we keep contact with our kids that are in school throughout. You'll see several initiatives come out. One of the emerging threats to our community right now is heroin. We've seen it in all the other major cities, and it's just now started to arrive here in Mobile. And so you'll see a series of public service announcements, a series of education coming out from the police department as we continue through the department or the Office of Strategic Initiatives to intervene in a positive way with young people before these triggers are pulled and these guns are carried. And so you'll see several initiatives, including how to report a gun anonymously when they know a child that's carrying a gun. And I guarantee you, a lot of people know them. They're not hiding these guns. We're just not getting those reports.
Well, if I could ask that if you could get us a cumulative list of all of those initiatives, the numbers and things of that nature, so that we can put that in our newsletters, that we can mention it in our community meetings, and when we get calls and emails, that we can readily reply back with that information, so that because the impression can quickly become, and the perception is that we are here in Government Plaza on the 9th floor, totally disconnected and unconcerned. That isn't the case. We know that you all are working. There's no doubt that we have a professional law enforcement community that's concerned about combating crime. And so we have to fight that stigma and some perceptions from our end by providing the information. So if you could get us a cumulative list of all of those initiatives with the pertinent numbers, so that when we get those responses, yesterday we had a local minister who was questioning whether or not we, from the mayor on down, whether or not we were genuinely concerned about what was going on, as if we were asleep at the wheel. And we all know that's not the case. The only way to attack that ignorance is with information. So if you could provide us with that, it would really, I think it'd do us a great service, and it also would do you all a great service.
Well, let me bring you a list of the initiatives in our school system, in partnership with our school system, addressing youth crime before it occurs. And again, prevention is the number one way to do it. Nobody wins once a gun is pulled out and the trigger is pulled. And so we will bring that to you. There's several documentaries that I can bring you that also illustrate what we're doing with our young. You know that once a month we carry a group of high school kids out to the range to interact with them. I'll tell you this, that at the 9th grade is where we are losing most of our kids in high school. 2/3 of the suspensions and 2/3 of the arrests in the entire school system occur with 9th graders. And so we are studying the problem. We're trying to direct our resources so we have the biggest impact that we can of keeping kids in schools, because if I can keep them in school, I keep them off the street. They're not carrying guns, and they're not going to be a problem for me. And so before they get on the business end of what I do, we're trying our absolute best to prevent it from ever occurring to begin with. But I will bring you that list next week.
Thank you, Chief. Any other questions of the Chief?
I just have a
Mr. Small?
I just have a comment. Our office is, very limited as council members. We very limited. But, the mayor, I would like to say that whatever initiative that our mayor put before us, the council was, surely will support you and everything. We just don't want the public to know that we're just quiet. We just trying to stay in our guidelines, according to the law. But wherever the mayor put before, the council, and I believe I can speak for the rest of the other 6 council members, that we surely will support our mayor. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Mr. Richardson?
Yes, Madam President, I would just like to say that this council is not responsible for the behavior of criminals. We are responsible for catching them if they commit a crime. They're responsible for the behavior of criminals. It's a community issue, and that includes the church. The city, we cannot teach morality. We can't teach anything about thou shalt not kill. There's a separation from the church and the state. It's more a failure of the church than it is of the city, because they can teach thou shalt not kill. We can't do that. It's a separation. The church is separated from the state. I think when all of us take full responsibility of what we need to do, including the community and all of its institutions, we're going to see the kind of city that the mayor envisioned. If we fail, the community will fail along with us. We don't have any children. We don't have nowhere for them to report to. We have community centers. During the daytime, children go to school. At nighttime, children do the homework and go to bed. They don't report to the city. They report to the schools during the daytime. On the weekend, we have our community centers open, and in the evenings, our libraries and community centers are open. But they basically go to school, and they should be taught what is right somewhere else, not at City Hall. But our police officers are very capable of arresting, but in terms of them stopping somebody from doing, we don't have that kind of power to stop anybody from doing what they want to do. That's the community, that's the home, that's the church, that's the school, that's all of us.
Thank you, Mr. Richardson. I would say amen to that. Chief, thank you so much for what you are doing. I know being proactive in the community is not generally what you as police officers do because you're so busy being reactive, but I appreciate the efforts that you are making to be more proactive in the community and working with all of these different organizations. Obviously schools, as Mr. Richardson pointed out, churches. That goes with other organizations within the city that offer after-school programs, mentoring, those types of things to reach out to the children that you mentioned, that you want to try to get to teach them, you know, good habits and ways of getting along and living responsibly in the community before they reach an age where they don't. So thank you. And Mayor, I know that you're listening and you have some ideas of your own, and I believe this council is obviously willing to work with the chief and work with you on anything that you bring forward. So we appreciate it.
Just one last comment. Besides the schools, and along with Councilman Richardson's comments, we work very diligently with the churches in some of the areas that we need the churches involved the most. It's not the kids that are in the church that I'm having trouble with.
It's the ones
I
who are
will
not.
tell you,
That's exactly right.
I will tell you that they have come out from behind those pulpits into the streets to help us with some of the toughest kids that we're dealing with. And I've been very pleased with it because it truly has made a difference in some of our communities. And that involvement by the faith base has really been a huge partnership for me in trying to correct behavior. But that's what I refer to when I'm talking about changing the environment, and for all of us to participate in creating an environment where this type of activity is not tolerated.
Exactly.
Thank you.
Thank you very much, Chief. Okay. Mayor?
Yes, ma'am. Councilman Manzi, when someone would ask the question, you know, what are we doing, or do they care? You know, I think a positive response is that I believe that this city council and this administration has done more in the last 2 years with funding equipment for our policemen, whether it's body cams or cars. You know, the training is certainly accelerated, and I don't know of any department that may be out there where their chief of police has testified before the FBI to adopt a program that was created here in Mobile over a year ago that's going to be adopted all over the United States. The chief is getting ready to go to speak to the Department of Justice because of another program that we have created here in Mobile. And these are the kind of things that once we put them on that piece of paper, you can articulate. But I don't know of any community that's doing more to try to, you know, address this issue. But we will continue to keep our antenna up. We'll continue to listen. But I'll tell this story because I tell it when I go to these town hall meetings. When President Kennedy cast the vision to put a man on the moon, return him safely by the end of the decade, 1961. 1962, he was walking through Cape Canaveral and there was a janitor standing over on the side of the room. And he walked over to him and he said, "How are you doing? I'm Jack Kennedy. What do you do here?" And he said, "Well, Mr. President, I'm here to put a man on the moon." He didn't say I'm here to clean a toilet or anything. When our citizens and our groups, our churches, when they start articulating the message that they're here to make this the safest city in America and they're going to do something differently than what they've previously done, it will happen. I just really believe that. But if we don't get everybody engaged, we can't put enough policemen in the street, you know, to help resolve this problem. But with our churches, with the various organizations, with neighborhood organizations, we can do this, and we will make progress on it. So thanks for the opportunity, and thanks for all that y'all have done to support the initiatives, you know, that we have placed before you. Roll Tide. I guess that we'll jump from the part about safety, but Jake Coker, Alphonse Taylor, Josh Cashier, and Jamie Mosley, all from Mobile, part of that championship team. If they want a key to the city, we'll make sure they get a key to the city.
Amen.
Maybe they don't want a key to the city, we will give them a key to the city.
Right.
But you know, that's not the only championship team that we have. And some of you probably wondering, what are you talking about? Well, we have some 6- and 7-year-old Municipal Park Raiders who won the National Prep and Youth Football Association Championship, and they consider themselves world champions, and they are the champions, and they brought the trophy home last weekend. They've been down in Orlando, Florida. They're led by Coach Julian McCarroll, who is better known as Coach Jew, so they deserve special recognition also. And I imagine one day we'll see them playing in Tuscaloosa or maybe Alwyn. So we're excited about the pipeline we've created here in Mobile. Tonight I'll have another town hall meeting where we go out and talk about the New Year, New Mobile Resolutions Tour. It will be at 6 o'clock at Cottage Hill Baptist Church. And then on Thursday, I'll be meeting at the Tobinville Public Library at 6 o'clock. And we welcome all citizens to come, and we'd be glad to inform you of the direction we're headed in 2016, and glad to answer any questions that you may have. This past weekend I had an opportunity to host the mayors of the 5 big cities across the state of Alabama. We had Mayor Tommy Battle of Huntsville, Mayor Walt Maddox of Tuscaloosa, Mayor Todd Strange of Montgomery, myself, and Mayor Bell could not join us. It's one of the first times he's missed this meeting, but it was my turn to sponsor it. We focused on economic development, education, and the legislative proposals that we are expecting to be debated in the upcoming legislative session. I've started talking about this a couple of years ago. There's never been a time in the history of Alabama where the mayors of the 5 big cities have gotten together and collaborated to talk about common problems and common solutions. And a lot of the help we need is in Montgomery. And so we will be using our influence to go there and talk to our legislators to see if we can't get things rolling to help us make all of our cities, improve the quality of life in all of our cities. Recently, and this is an ongoing process for the last year, and it will go on for another year, and that's the implementation of the Tyler software. This past, about 2 weeks ago, we went live in the finance department where we're improving the efficiency, productivity, and accuracy at City Hall. But today, our general ledger, our budgeting, our grant tracking, our project accounting, our fixed assets, and document records management is all part of the Munis suite of Tyler software. And what does that mean to the average citizen? Once completed, it will mean much more visibility into what's going on at the city, especially from a financial perspective, but also making it easier for you to do business with the city. But above all, it will create an opportunity for us as the city to deliver better services in a more timely and efficient fashion to you. Several days ago, we welcomed Zodiac Aerospace to the list of new companies that have come to Mobile. Zodiac is a global leader in aircraft cabin design. They'll be located at the Mobile Airplex at Brooklyn. They're based in France. They're a 100-year-old company, and they have about 30,000 employees at 100 different sites worldwide. They will begin with just a small number of employees here, but as the production rate ramps up at Airbus, they will continue to grow also. My last remark has to do with the Riverside Ice. We had hoped that we would have 13,000 people skate. We had hoped that it would be revenue neutral. I believe that we have achieved both of those goals. We think we had 14,000 people skate, and that's with 11 days that we lost because of weather. The reason it is probably revenue neutral is we were so fortunate to have many businesses step up and say they wanted to be sponsors. And so you take the combination of what it cost to, what the ticket price was, plus the revenue generated from the sponsorship. Once all the bills are paid, we'll be able to show you what that accounting was, but I believe that we can say that it was revenue neutral. Hopefully it will have made a little money, and I really believe that next year we already know things that we can do, and it just, as they often say, it'll be bigger and better next year. So that's my remarks for the day, Madam President.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Mayor. The mayor mentioned the municipal raiders. We had hoped that they would be able to come to the council meeting to receive a proclamation, but as you all know, the kids are back in school, so they were not able to come. But the municipal raiders are well known for funneling very talented players to high schools and colleges and on into the pros. So yes, again, congratulations to the municipal raiders. Ms. Lampert?
Adoption of the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Appeals, we have requests for waiver of the noise ordinance on January 23rd on North Lawrence Street, January 30th on Virginia Street.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
The next two, I understand we're laying both of those over for 1 week, so I'll take those together. We have requests for a waiver of the noise ordinance on January 29th, 30th, and 31st on Ziegler Boulevard, and, the next one is an appeal, I'm sorry.
Move to lay over 1 week.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay.
And we have the appeal of Nimity Young Skull of the Planning Commission's denial of their application for planning approval.
This is an appeal that has been filed on a planning commission denial for the Nimanyatskals, and we have been in contact with the attorney for the applicant, asking for a layover at least 1 week, and we agreed to that. I don't know if anybody is here who had intended to speak on this appeal or not. If you did, then we will give you the opportunity to speak, but just know that we have agreed to lay this over for 1 week. We will not take action on it today. Okay, nobody here? Okay. All in favor of laying this over for 1 week?
Aye.
Opposed?
Public hearings today is the public hearing to consider assenting to the vacation of a portion of Rivers Avenue.
So moved.
Public hearing.
Oh, I'm sorry, public hearing.
Public hearing.
Okay, I'm sorry. This is a public hearing, so if there's anyone here in the audience who would like to speak to this, please come to the podium.
I'm Chris Arledge, 3030 Knollwood. This is brought on behalf of Moss. Rivers Avenue is a unopened street. It's wooded. It's at the intersection of MLK and 3 Mile Creek. The necessity for the vacation was due to a subdivision application we filed, and so we just asked that the council approve this. Moss is the only property owner that's going to be affected.
All right. Thank you. Is there anyone else in the audience who would like to speak to this? Okay, with that then, the public hearing is closed.
Presentation of petitions and other communications to the council. Reggie Copeland.
Here's somebody you may not recognize. We welcome our former president and colleague to the
Thank you.
podium.
Thank you. Mayor Sandy, President Gina, Vice President Fred, and my former colleagues. What a beautiful day after last night. When I leave here, I'm going home and get some rest. I'm here to talk about Ladd Stadium. I want to know if Vic Knight and Joe Michigan got in late. They didn't. I invited them to come down. But before I talk about Ladd Stadium a minute, I want to share some personal good news with you. I had an invitation to be involved with a national TV show called Walking Dead. I didn't make it. Joel Daves appointed me to the Ladd Stadium Board, which has been a big part of my life while I served 28 years at the city, and I'm very pleased today to announce that we will have a surplus of $100,000 from this past year. I wish that Vic Knight and Joel were here, because we have pushed them to the limit to do other things out there. One of the items we had was First Tee Golf. John, you'd be interested in that. The Battle of the Bands. We've had archery out there. We've had many things that can be used on the grounds at Ladd Peebles Memorial Stadium, and we want to do more. and I've enjoyed serving on that board, and I look forward to bigger and better things. While I'm here, I want to compliment my councilman from District 5 for the work that's been done, and particularly in land fair, and to compliment my mayor and this council. Good positive attitude, keep going. I mean, Airbus is going to bring some more. Sandy Zodiac was in. They're at 1775 9th Street. I've been down there to visit with them already, and they will have a number of employees that'll come here eventually. Keep up the good work. My son Randy's going to come on in just a minute and tell you about some good news too. Thank you.
Thank
Madam
you, Reggie.
President.
Good to see you. Mr. Daves?
Before former President Copeland leaves, I would like to say that this is the first opportunity I've had to say something with you actually here in the room with us. And when I was thinking about running for this seat, and ever since, people say, well, why did you do that? Why did you decide to do that? And my response has always been that we had a councilman in this seat for 28 years who did an outstanding job as councilman and as president of the council. And what I wanted to make sure is there would be someone coming into that seat, not as good, because no one could be as good, but someone who might be close as good to Reggie Copeland. And then after serving 28 years, Reggie has agreed to be on the Lad People Stadium board, and they're just moving from strength to strength. Thank you, Reggie, for all your long service to the city.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Mr.
Madam-
Richardson?
Yes, Madam President, I've had the opportunity to work with Mr. Copeland for many years. I was served as his vice president, and I don't know of one instance where we had any disagreement. We worked together, and we didn't see things eye to eye on every issue, but we discussed it, and if it's something that he couldn't support, he couldn't support it. If it's something I couldn't support, I couldn't support it. City moved on. So it's a tremendous man. I love you, Reggie. I consider myself a member of the Copeland family.
Thank you, buddy.
All right.
Exactly. What a role model. And having to take over the presidency from Mr. Copeland. I tell you, tough. It's tough to follow in your footsteps, but I'm trying. So thank you very much, Reggie. We appreciate you being here.
Thank you.
Anybody else? Okay, thanks. Lisa?
Randy Copeland.
Good morning. Randy Copeland, 16 Kingsway, Mobile. That's a tough act to follow. Pressure on me. I'd like to thank Mayor Stimson, President Gregory, Vice President, I guess he's my Uncle Fred, said he was part of the family, and the remaining council members. I'm here representing an organization called the 74 Club. It's a group of men and women from all different professions, business owners, teachers, principals, retired executives from Evonik. And in 2010, we came together as friends to help a classmate of ours that we'd gone to McGill-Tulin Institute with who had cancer, and raised a lot of money to help her and her family. And after that, we discussed making this an official organization. So we are now a 501c3 nonprofit and have been since early 2011. And we have helped individuals in the city, families, local and national charities. And people ask me, well, why do you do it? And I always say, because we can. And our motto is providing service for others. And so we've been doing kind of relatively small functions, golf tournaments, dances. We have a spring dance where we raise a lot of money to help people. We've helped Spring Hill College. We've helped different tennis tournaments. We cook. We have fundraisers of all different types. With me today are some of our other members, David Scott, who owns Scott Electric, Deborah Heath, who's a retired executive with Evonik, Mike and Kathleen Crenshaw, Karen Andrews, who else is with the club? Julie Belcase, who's the chief of staff with Alta Point. So we've got some pretty powerful people. They work very hard. And we're here today to tell you about an event that we have coming in March 4th and 5th. I think you have some packets that My friend Lisa Lambert handed out to everybody. She's also part of the Copeland family. And there's an organization in Nova Scotia called Over the Edge USA, and it was founded by a gentleman named Paul Griffith. The original name was the Drop Zone, and he founded that company in 2003. And his goal was to create a company that helped nonprofits throughout North America raise $50 million by the year 2018. They're already well on their way to well over $35 million. And when we learned of this program last summer, David, Mike, and I were invited to go to Memphis by the Special Olympics of Memphis to witness an event. It was a 2-day event. We were extremely excited when we came back, and we sat down with all of our members and we voted to pursue it. Now for us, this was a big thing to pursue because the license we had to buy cost $30,000. And that allowed us to keep this event for the next year, and we want to have this on an annual basis. And so we set off. And Dennis Langen, who's the president of Dennis Langen Construction, so kindly and was generous to be our platinum sponsor, for lack of a better word. And so we were off and running. Then the next situation we had to deal with was we got to find a building because people are going to rappel down the building. Yes, Fred, I'd like for you to do it. And they're going to raise money so that we can help local charities. And those local charities are St. Mary's Homes, McKimmey Place, the Ronald McDonald House, Mobile ARC, Woody Song School for Autism, the Exchange Club, and the Abba Shrine Children's Transportation. So we have 7 charities that we're going to support. And David and I and Mike one night ended up at the Mobile Marriott right there at Bel Air Mall off Airport Boulevard and near Sage Avenue, and met now 2 ladies that are our new best friends, and they are Lisa Castagna, the general manager, and Jennifer Wright, who's director of sales. And they said, Randy, let us take this ball and run with it. The Marriott had been involved with Over the Edge in some of the larger cities throughout the country because all these lawyers have to get together and sign off on these contracts. And about 2 weeks later, we had it done. And that was the tough part, getting the money for the license, getting the building. So now we're in marketing mode. And another gentleman that's with us here today is Ren Bartlett, who is one of the key players at the Khalifi Media Group. So we met, we were assigned an account manager in Canada, a lady named Melissa Hawks, and we're on our way. And our goal is to have 90 rappellers at $1,000 minimum that they would raise to rappel down the 20-story at Marriott on March 5th. We also have been very fortunate to gather money from different corporations here that are going to be our sponsors. Hargrove Engineering Constructors called me Friday, thanks to Gina and some other people down there, and they're one of our sponsors. Joe Bullard Automotive, James B. Donachie, Orthodontics, SAD Development, and so we're on our way. We want to be able to raise that money to pay our initial sponsor back, and so we're here today. Everybody's got a little packet. We'd love to have anybody involved. This thing is extremely safe. They've had over 500 of these events. We can't say what economic impact it might have on the city, but it's a fun, exciting, as iHeartMedia said, kind of a sexy event. We hope to have some celebrities there. I've actually been emailing some of Mayor Stimpson's people, Karen Williamson and Marty Carroll. We kind of challenged Mayor Stimpson to come on Media Day, which is Friday the 4th, and some local celebrities will be going down, as we say, or over the edge. So we're very excited. Wanted everybody here to know about it. If you have any questions, you can contact our website, 74club.org or otemobile.com. My number's on there. I'll be glad to talk to you about anything. I've been kind of given the title of event chairman, or flunky in this case, but appreciate your time. And does anybody have any questions or need any additional information? We'd love to talk to you about it.
All right, Beth?
Thank you.
I think this is real exciting, and I wish it the most success.
Thank you.
This firefighters in town put on a Citizens Academy, which I was part of, and we rappelled. Of course, it was 4 stories,
Right.
and you're with the firefighters, but I hope that you'll include our firefighters.
Well, we already have some of them signed up as volunteers.
Great.
And some firefighters from BASF, where Mike Crenshaw works, and Alabama Power Company. So we've had a lot of people say they want to come out and volunteer. because it's an all-day deal on Saturday if we have the full house of the 90 people. So we're on Facebook blasting it. We've signed a contract with Our Heart Media. We've been on television. We've been on the radio. So we've got, less than 60 days to get the rest of this done. Again, you can go to our website, and you'll probably know some people that have signed up. And again, all of the proceeds that we make over and above our costs will go to those charities that we named, and they're very excited, and they're working with us. So I appreciate your time. Yes, sir.
Mayor?
I just noticed on my calendar at 2 p.m. I'm already scheduled to be over the edge.
So that's fantastic. Thank you.
I'm
We
in.
appreciate that.
I'm in.
Thank you,
If I
sir.
can do the Harlem Shake and I can ice skate, I think I come off the building.
There you go. We'll be there to pick you up in an elevator and bring you to the ground. You'll actually rappel to the 3rd story rooftop at the hotel, so you're going down 17, not quite 20, but it's still a lot of fun and excitement, and we appreciate your support. Thanks for having us.
If you have a JPEG, if you could get it to our secretary, we can get your information out in our newsletters.
Yeah, sure. I can send it to, I guess, is it Karen Williams? Send it to you?
No, you can send it to me.
Yeah, okay.
To Lisa.
Send it to Lisa.
Great,
Be
thank
glad
you.
to. Thanks.
Good luck.
Thanks, Randy.
Appreciate your
Appreciate it.
opportunity.
Reverend David Edwards and Reverend Lawrence Baptiste.
Well, good morning.
Good morning.
Mayor, Ms. Gregory, Mr. Richardson, and all the council. It's always good to see you all. Whenever we go to many different events, we realize that we're united as our organization is. We are the new face of People United to Advance the Dream, which you should be very familiar with. We put on the Martin Luther King March and Unity Walk each year here in the city of Mobile. And we're here under some strenuous circumstances this year as we prepare for the final days and final preparation of the march on next Monday. I'll let Reverend Baptiste. My name is David Edwards. I'm sorry, my address is 670 Fisher Street in Mr. Richardson District.
Okay, great.
Good morning also. I am Lawrence Baptiste III, the father of Lawrence Baptiste IV. Okay. I am a member of, I reside in C.J. Smalls, Councilman Smalls District, and I'm here, as Reverend Evans was stating, because of an activity that is traditionally supported in this city by the city council and the mayor's office. Because of some legal issues, the organization had some problems which caused them to fail to dot all the i's and cross all the t's. So I want to make sure, first of all, we understand that we're accepting responsibility, not placing this on the city. But what we are requesting is that there's a community out there that on Monday, MLK Celebration Day, they're going to be anticipating and expecting what the city has been doing since at least 1989. And we submitted a request by way of the city council that we understood that we dropped the ball, but we submitted a request that you would do what you could from any discretionary funds that you might have to make it possible for this activity to go on. And as of this point, we have not received a reply from anyone except for the fact that saying our budget is exhausted. Now there's no doubt, there's nobody sitting here that I know does not know that this is an important event, and especially for a city the size of Mobile. A city that has traditionally had great relationships in the whole community,
And what we are trying to do is walk in the same vein under the guise and the directions of our mayor, who's talking and expressing a desire for one Mobile. And many of us have already bought into that. We support that because when we work together, when we are together, we have a better place to live and work. I want to make a few comments here about some things that were stated. One, it was addressed that community organizations and churches should get involved. Well, I'm an associate pastor of Revelation Missionary Baptist Church. Revelation Missionary Baptist Church has been involved in the community activities of that area of town for years and years and years. We have a coalition out there that is made up of ministers. In fact, if it were not for this council meeting this morning, I would be in one of the schools because we do that. We are part of that. We are involved with the police department. Some of the initiatives that the police department is carrying on right now, some of those initiatives are coming through our church. And what we're trying to do is expand even that outreach to bring even more churches in. It's one thing to ask us to be involved, and another thing to empower us once we are involved. So all we're really here to say this morning is we're asking you if you'll go back and consult your budgets and last year's requests and see if there's any way, if there's whatever you can do in terms of helping us to make sure that this activity goes on. And whether you come to this that event or not, it's a positive event. There are people up there encouraging young people, up there talking about the Martin Luther King way, trying to encourage people to consider the idea of growing up and having more inclusiveness. That's what it's all about. That's what we're all about. So why would we not support an activity like that? And of course, I don't know how you schedule your budget year, but this is just January, and I would wonder how a city in January could already be completely out of money. It's about choices. It really is about choices. And so we're asking you to consider what we're talking about as important enough to put it in a place of priority. That's what we're talking about here. And like I said, we want to do all we can to encourage what's going on in our city because we see it's a positive thing. And we want to be a part of the progress as we move forward. So we're just asking you, if you would, to consider that. And of course, our email is on our letterhead, and if you would, just address us on that respect.
All right. Thank you very much. We appreciate y'all coming.
One quick thing, if I can put some urgency to this, we've got about 6 days before the event actually takes place. As a matter of fact, we talked with one of our vendors on yesterday, and they were requiring a deposit up front. What we've done in basic terms is done what we could do with what we had. And because of the change in administration, just like you all understand, we all have to change for a better future. Our goal and our aim for 2016 is to bring all people from all communities into one common place where we can change the mindset of our young people and the people that have set mindsets on people that weren't always of good value. If we can change your thinking, we can change your action. So our whole motive is to bring them together so that we can say, yes, you are truly my brother or my sister. Therefore, I can't do to you what I want to do because of the relationship. And when you bring thousands of people together into one common place for one common good, for a peaceful act of saying, hey, listen, love is the principal thing. Our country was built upon biblical and principles that came from biblical ideals. And so as we build in this organization to create a city of harmony, to bring it to one Mobile, we would certainly need those support systems that we've had in the past until we can get to a new place where we can raise the kind of money that this organization raised. Then that's what we're looking for. We appreciate your time so very much, but it is of a dying strait. If we can get some answers as soon as possible.
Can I ask a question?
Sure, go ahead, Mrs. Rich.
You are specifically talking about funds for the upcoming March. Do I have that correct? Do you have a budget that you're looking at?
We initially submitted a budget request to the city, to the city. My understanding, and at that time I was not part of the leadership of the organization, my understanding is that there was some administrative things that were supposed to be done, and because of some legal problems, those things did not get done. There is a budget that was submitted. I would imagine it would be in the hands of your chief of staff. I was told that they had to, you went back and amended the budget, and at the time that the budget was amended, the request we had was written out because the budget was amended. And we didn't find that out until last month. And I think all of that was supposed to be processed by October of the year. I think that's what I was told that it had. And so we found out a month ago. But you have last year's budget.
And that's strictly for the March, no other office or?
Yes, yeah. Let me kind of, what the city had done was given a sum of money to People United. Monies were used for the march, but the organization was also involved in school activities. They went into schools, put on programs to stop the violence, to increase the Take a Village process also. There were a lot of activities that the organization actually participated in from the resources that they received from the city, okay? A part of it, our back is against the wall right now is just for
The march itself.
for the march, yes, and then we'll plan to go forward from there. But like I said, the administration that we're in right now, we took over a month and a half ago, and we're trying to make sure that the disappointment that would show up because they weren't there to do what has traditionally been done since 1989.
Right. If we can just kind of get to the point where you really need a specific amount of funding in order to make it's a parade and a march.
Right.
And then I think you've got a rally at the end of the.
Yes, we have a rally at the end of the march.
Do you have just a specific budget for that? And what is your specific need?
Yes, well, if we could receive $7,000, we'd be in good shape.
Total.
To take care of what we need to do for Monday's activities. And as we plan to go forward, we hope to put this organization in a position like the organization that just spoke, but it takes some planning. And as I said, neither one of us at the time were a part of the leadership of that organization, but we couldn't sit by and watch. We were participants, but we were not leaders. And so when what happened, the void, the space had to be filled. Right. We just stepped up to the plate. And so far, we've done a pretty good job. And I have to say, we thank you for what you've already done. We've already got a lot of assistance from the city. I mean, we were granted a permit. We were granted a waiver for some of the things that we need. We were granted some help from the Parks and Recreation Department, but there are some things that you have to have dollars for, in other words, and that's what we're looking for, is some dollars to take care of those things that we can't get in service, in kind of service, okay?
All right, appreciate it. Any other questions or comments? Thank you, we appreciate you all coming.
Oh, by the way, let me mention this too. Our ecumenical service will be on Sunday afternoon at the historic St. Louis Street Missionary Baptist Church, which is, many of you know, is the second oldest predominantly black church in Mobile, Reverend Manz's district. So we ask that you do what you can to help us. Thank you. Okay.
And we look forward to seeing you all on January the 18th at the Martin Luther King Day March celebration and rally.
Thank you.
Thank you so much.
Ordinances held over 64001 and 64002, rezoning property at 7054 House Ferry Road from R1 and B2 to B2, and rezoning property at 5004 and 5010 Moffett Road and 1601 Gash Lane from R1 to B3.
So moved.
Second.
Any discussion on these? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolutions held over 09024, 2526, 2728, and 29 are reallocating monies from Capital Project 8M Consent Decree, MS4 Stormwater Management Program, Capital Project Neighborhood Community Watershed to USA Landscaping and Irrigation Old Shell, Capital Project District 7 Sidewalk Repairs to USA Landscaping and Irrigation Old Shell, Capital Project Sidewalks Langen Park to Capital Project Parks Langen Park Shade Structures, from Capital Project Bridge and Culvert Repairs District 6 to Capital Project Citywide Storm Drain and Pipe Projects, and from Capital Project Mobile Street Sidewalks to Capital Projects District 1 Roadway Resurfacing, Mill Street Park Improvements, and 3 Mile Creek Walking/Bike Trail.
All right, so moved.
Second.
Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
21030, authorized contract of J.A. Dawson and Company for provision and installation of a playground shade structure at McCants Shavers Park.
So moved.
Second?
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
21031, authorized professional services contract with Neil Schaefer for MS4 program.
So moved.
Second, discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Congratulations. Look forward to working with y'all this year.
21032, authorized contract with Robert Baggett for Mobile Civic Center leak repairs.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
21033, authorized contract with Dell Consulting for City of Mobile, Alabama Cruise Terminal electrical improvements.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
21034, authorized contract with Watermark Design for Moore Branch Library re-roof.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
37035, grant application to Chad Dias doing business as CHD Transportation for a certificate of public convenience and necessity to operate a sedan service.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Consent resolutions being introduced for the first time, 03037 through 37039.
Motion for the suspension of the rules for immediate consideration of resolutions 03037 through 37039.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
I'll take the first two together. 03037 and 038 are reappoint Joy Klotz and Richard Davis to the History Museum of Mobile Board and concur with the rescinding of the appointment of Charles Story and the appointment of Cassandra Inge Burks to the Mobile County Department of Human Resources Board.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
37039, recommend approval to the ABC Board for issuance of a restaurant retail liquor license for Kazula Eatery and Entertainment on Dolphin Street.
So moved.
Second. Discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Resolutions being introduced for the first time, 01040 through 47048.
By council rules, resolution 4-0 through 47048 will be laid over for 1 week.
So move.
That's just, we just do that automatically, yeah?
Call for public hearing scheduled January 26th, 41049. Call for public hearing to consider the application of William Hunter, doing business as Hunter Limousines, to add vehicles to the Certificate of Public Convenience and Necessity granted February 19th, 2013, and amended on August 5th, 2014.
So moved.
Second.
Discussion, all in favor? Opposed?
Announcements.
All right, I will start with Mr. Williams today.
Madam President,
I have none, thank you.
I
Okay,
have-
thank you, Mr. Williams.
I have to leave, but I have some late breaking news, and that's that the
okay.
RSA Tower,
Is-
you may see it bathed in crimson and white tonight. So thank you, Dr. Bronner.
Thank you, Dr. Bronner. All right, that was breaking news. All right, Mr. Small?
I'll say my announcement for next week. Thank you.
All right, Ms. Rich?
Thank you very much. I would just like to publicly thank Payne Environmental. I know we're going under a different team, but they came in 2 years ago to work with us on our stormwater management, and I thank them for their diligence and their hard work that they did, and on behalf of the citizens, would like to publicly thank them. I'm glad to see the RSA Tower. I hope we get photographs of it, and that the community will be aware that it'll be brightly shining for that wonderful national championship. And I would like to thank whoever was responsible for the Empire State Building,
Right.
that they were recognized, because that truly is a really neat thing. And you know how important something like that is, not just for our state, but for the nation at large. So thank you.
All right, thank you. Mr. Richardson?
Yes, ma'am, Madam President. I would like to announce that today at 5 o'clock, I would be at the Roger Williams Boys and Girls Club. The Delta Sigma Theta sorority has sponsored what they call Project Delta, a program to inspire those kids at that club to succeed. They've invited me to come to speak to them at 5 o'clock, and I'm looking forward to that. So many ways to choose, so many ways to lose, and I hope that I can say something to inspire them to succeed and not fail. On Sunday, the 17th, Baldwin County will be holding their MLK Day at the Southside Baptist Church in Foley, Alabama, and I will be their speaker at 6 o'clock. But in my hometown on the 18th, the day we're going to celebrate Dr. Martin Luther King's birthday, the city of Evergreen is holding MLK celebration. And I'm going back home to be the speaker in Evergreen, Alabama. So I'm looking forward to that too. Last night we met. I invited a group of citizens. I invite citizens from Tobinville and from Crichton to meet with us to see about the possibility of establishing one group, a 501c3, that would spearhead the planning and development of both of those communities. It was a great meeting. We had an attorney present with us who volunteered his time to file all of the papers for the 501c3. We even had Pastor Clinton Johnson from the New Shiloh Baptist Church to be present with us, and they agreed that that is something they wanted to do, and we have scheduled a meeting. I think it's on February the 1st. We decided to meet on a different date on January 25th, but that date, the library, Tocqueville Library, has something scheduled on that date, and it looked like February the 1st is going to be the first time we can meet. So we will be meeting. They're going to actually organize, pick their officers on that date, and I'm looking forward to that meeting too. And the Entitlement Committee, we were trying to meet on the 26th. John is not going to be able to meet, and I talked to Nigel, and the Tuesday after that we're going to meet. I will send out a formal announcement on that, but we're going to be reviewing the proposed action plan, and I will send an announcement out with the date that that group will meet. Thank you, Madam President.
All right, thank you, Mr. Davis.
Thank you, Madam President. The City Council's Finance Committee will meet this Thursday, day after tomorrow, 2 p.m. in the council conference room. We have two primary items on our agenda. One, in addition to the finance director, Mr. Wesch, we will have the city's financial advisor with us, Mr. Phil Dotz, and we'll be talking about possible refunding of some city warrants, and we'll also talk about the general fund reserve, how big the general fund reserve ought to be, how large it ought to be, at what level it needs to be maintained, and why it needs to be maintained at that level. That's at 2 o'clock this Thursday in the council conference room. Thank you.
All right, thank you. And Mr. Manzi?
Yes, Madam President. On Sunday, I had the opportunity to stop by 1255 Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. Avenue, which is immediately across from the Stewart Memorial CME Church. It's a historic home in the middle of that historic community. Their home for many years had been in disrepair, on the verge of dilapidation, and it had been recently renovated by Mr. Ricky McCants. It's just amazing the job that he's done. I bring that up to say to our citizens that that is the kind of investment and the kind of redevelopment that we have the potential to do, not just in the MLK area, but across the length and breadth of District 2. It'll be it will take a private-public partnership to accomplish that level of renovation, but I wanted to single him out. I wanted to make certain that people were aware of all of the efforts that he's gone through in that community to be a shot in the arm toward revitalization. On the outside, you would figure that it was, the aesthetics of it, it's totally in keeping with the surrounding community, but it's totally automated at this point. It's a green certified facility. He can control everything from his cell phone, and it goes to show you that you don't have to move out West Mobile or Baldwin County in order to find a quality place to live. Inner cities are places that can be invested in and can be made livable. So I wanted to congratulate him on all of his efforts. He's involved in 3 or 4 other renovations in that immediate area, and just single him out and to say to citizens who are considering investing in the inner city, investing in the MLK, Maysville, Plateau areas, it's only by you being willing to invest your financial resources that we'll be able to bring these communities to their full potential.
All right, thank you very much. And just to conclude, a couple of things going on. You will be hearing more from us as we move forward with our capital improvement fund dollars and projects. And one thing in particular, we will be looking at some of the areas that were extremely hard hit during our recent rains. Thanks to Nick, Janik, Diane, everybody, the whole staff for working with us on that. Instead of the later rather than sooner approach, we are going to take things sooner rather than later and make some repairs in all of these areas that if we don't do them now, will cost us much more money. So thank you for everyone for working with this. I know it's an extreme amount of work to do this, but I think it will certainly be something that is well received in our communities, and we will get these problems resolved quickly. So thank you, everyone. Any more announcements? Looks like most everybody's gone from the administrative table. So with that, we are adjourned.